So thank you for joining today's head coach teleconference for the 109th Rose Bowl game. I'm Karen Linhart, the Rose Bowl Games Marketing and Media Director. Following opening remarks from both head coaches, we will open up the floor for questions. The Tournament of Roses is thrilled to host the Utah Utes and the Penn State Nittany Lions in this year's Rose Bowl game. This will be the first meeting in history between Utah and Penn State. I'm joined today by Utah head coach Kyle Whittingham and Penn State head coach James Franklin. I'd like to start by asking both coaches to give an opening remark. Coach Whittingham will go first, followed by Coach Franklin. Coach Whittingham?
Yeah, you bet. We're elated to be back in the Rose Bowl, second trip in as many years. It was a great game last year versus Ohio State. Went right down to the wire, came up on the short end, obviously, but our guys had a great experience. Rose Bowl, I've been to quite a few of the bowls and the New Year's Six bowls, and Rose Bowl is special. And we're going to travel well. Our fans are going to be showing up, and we should have great support there. Players, like I said, are very excited to go back and have the experience again. And we're just looking forward to the trip. And Penn State, a tremendous opponent. Been doing a little research on them. Play great defense, a couple really good backs, nearly 1,000 yards each. Turnover margin in their favor. I mean, they do a lot of really good things that really good football teams do. And so it reminds me of us in a way, the way we approach the game and how we go about our business. But Coach Franklin, got all the respect in the world for him, what he's done there. I've had a chance to meet him a few times in person. Don't know him real well, but know enough to know that he's, a heck of a football coach. And we know it's going to be a big challenge for us. And like I said, we're excited to be there.
Thank you, Coach. Coach Franklin?
Yes, truly appreciate the opportunity. Obviously, the history and the tradition of the Rose Bowl speaks for itself. We had a phenomenal experience last time we were involved. And our players and staff could not be more excited about making the trip again. Obviously, got a ton of respect for the University of Utah, their history, their tradition, and coach has done a phenomenal job there. I was able to watch their game the other night. What a great game for college football. And they played so well and really played well all season long. So we're just getting started with the breakdowns and trying to kind of understand who they are. It's one thing to watch the game on TV as a somewhat of a fan. It's another thing to study them and break them down. But really good football team, coached extremely well, an experienced, gutsy quarterback who's a competitor. And this is going to be a great game. I think there's obviously some really cool facts. The fact that Penn State's played every Pac-12 school except for Utah. It's not too often in 2022 that you're able to do things for the first time ever. So that's really cool. And then, for Penn State, we played in this game 100 years ago. So, really, really excited about this opportunity. And there's a ton of cool facts and things about it. But at the end of the day, we got to go out, represent the Big Ten well, and play well for our Penn State community.
Thank you, Coach. We'll now open up the teleconference for questions. Please raise your hand to ask a question using the raised hand icon within Zoom. If and when your question is selected, we will unmute your microphone. Please state your name and media outlet before asking your question. Once your question has been answered, your microphone will be muted and your hand will be lowered. Our first question will come from Rich Scarcer. I'm going to butcher your last name, Rich. I'm sorry. But will come from Rich Scarcella.
Rich Scarcella from the Reading Eagle. This is for James and Kyle. Does the Rose Bowl, is it a more inviting game, do you think, for your players who are considering not playing in the bowl game? Because last year, obviously, it was a problem with Penn State. Is this a more inviting game for those who might be on the fence?
Go ahead, Coach.
Okay, thanks, Kyle. Yeah, for Penn State specifically, obviously in my 12 years as a head coach, had never had an opt-out until last year. and I think that's a challenge across college football right now. I think that's why there's a lot of conversations going on about expansion and things like that. But, obviously the Rose Bowl, whether you're a coach or whether you're a fan or whether you're a player, the Rose Bowl holds a special place in a lot of people's, perspective. And, I think obviously playing in that type of game and, on that type of stage and against an opponent like Utah, I think it helps. So we expect, that almost the entirety of our team will play and compete. But that is a challenge in general, for college football right now.
Yeah, as far as University of Utah, we had no opt-outs last year. Everybody played. Fully expecting that to happen this year. Doesn't mean it necessarily will, but I've heard nothing of the sort to think any differently. Rose Bowl, terrific game, obviously, right in the heart of our recruiting footprint. We have a ton of guys from Southern Cal on our team that are going to be excited to play in front of friends and family. And so you never say never, but right now we anticipate everybody playing but things happen, but right now that's not the case. And we're excited to make the trip down.
Our next question will come from Joe Smeltzer.
Hey, Joe Smeltzer, Nittany Sports Now. This one's for James. Coach, obviously Sean has been through a lot in his time at Penn State. What does it mean to you as his coach to have him end his college career on a stage like this?
Yeah, I'm happy for him. I'm happy for the whole senior class. Kyle's been through it as well with COVID and everything else that these guys have experienced throughout their career. It's been different. And, Sean's just a guy, he's been, he's really represented our university and our football program the right way, both on and off the field in his entire career. And he's been doing it for a long time. I'm gonna check the picture of that Rose Bowl game played 100 years ago, make sure Sean wasn't in it, because he's been playing football at Penn State for a long time. And he's maximized that entire experience. He's maximized it as a student athlete. He's going to go on and be a very, very successful businessman after his football career is done, and he's done it the right way, and he's done it with class. So I'm happy for him. I'm proud of him. And I know he's going to prepare like crazy to go out and play the best he possibly can, against a really tough opponent.
Our next question will come from Joe Reedy.
Joe Reedy, Associated Press. Just for both Kyle and James, just wondering your feelings about playing in this game, considering it might be the last traditional Pac-12 Big Ten matchup for a while.
Why don't you go ahead, James? Any question that's for the both of us, since they're the visiting team, we'll let them go first every time. Then we don't have to go through that. So go ahead, James.
Yes, obviously, again, when you talk about the college landscape, it has changed. And, I think your point is a good one. We're going to be looking at a very different model here moving forward. So, yeah, I think, there's some history when you talk about, the traditional Big Ten, Pac-12, matchups. And specifically when it comes to the Rose Bowl and the significance of the Rose Bowl on both of our conferences for as long as you can, remember. So, we understand the importance of that and the magnitude of that. But again, at the end of the day, we just got to do everything we possibly can to prepare and play well against a really good opponent.
Yeah, from our perspective, I grew up in the shadow of the Rose Bowl down there in Southern Cal, and what a great tradition. Look forward to it every single year. And things are changing, as you mentioned. And I think that's, there's going to be major changes, in my opinion. I mean, huge changes in college football. And it's going to be pretty much unrecognizable in the next 5-6 years compared to what it is now. But, we're excited to be able to play in the Rose Bowl this year, like I said, in the traditional fashion and in its traditional time slot and all that type of stuff. And so I can just speak for us being elated, as I mentioned, to be there. And the Rose Bowl experience last year was tremendous. And we expect, more of the same this year.
Our next question will come from Joshua Newman.
My question was just answered, so somebody else can go. Thank you.
Thanks, Joshua. Our next question will come from David Melandra.
David Melandra with Nittany Central. This question is for both teams. What was your first impression when you heard that you guys would be facing off against each other in the Rose Bowl?
Yeah, for us at Penn State, obviously, you look at the University of Utah and the success that they've had under Kyle's leadership. To me, it was exciting. And then, right away, I started to think about, when has Penn State played Utah from a historical perspective, and found out obviously this is the first time playing each other. So I thought that was something that was, I think, really cool and exciting for our fan base and for our players as well. And then after just watching them play here recently, tough, hard-nosed, disciplined, gritty team, that finds ways to win all different ways, and got a ton of respect for what they do and how they do it. And it's going to be a tremendous challenge. So that's kind of the first thing I thought of when I heard who the matchup was against.
Yeah, I would echo a lot of the same things that Coach Franklin just pointed out. I didn't realize that it was the first time that the two teams will have ever played each other. But I've been a college football fan since, my dad played pro football, coached for many years. So I've been a football fan forever. And, watched Penn State from afar. What a great tradition. That place is, I've never been to a game there, but it looks nuts, to play in that stadium with that crowd and those fans. Of course, Joe Pa, was, what I grew up with, him being the guy at the helm. And so just excited. It's a storied program, a lot of tradition, a lot of history, ton of success through the years. And we're relatively new on the scene, compared to what they've got going and what they've had historically. And so we're excited to play and excited for the challenge. And like Coach said, we got all the respect in the world as well for their program.
Our next question comes from Josh Furlong.
Yeah, Kyle, can you hear me? Does this work?
I got you, Josh. Yes, sir.
Okay. A couple weeks ago, you talked about 9-3 wasn't necessarily the record you guys were hoping for this year, but now you're back in the Rose Bowl. This is kind of the goal that you guys had wanted to obtain. What does this do for you as a program, as well as kind of people that are viewing it from an outside perspective?
Well, I think it's another step in the right direction in the evolution of our program, and we're a program that is still hopefully on the rise and trying to make our mark in college football. We had the breakthrough last year with our first Pac-12 championship, and preaching to the team all year long this year, this off season, and all through fall camp, how it's harder to stay on top than it is to get to the top. And the challenge was trying to repeat. And through some unique circumstances, we were able to do that and take another step forward. And so that's kind of my take on it, is another step forward for the program. And we've just got to keep evolving and keep progressing and stay on this trajectory.
Our next question comes from Michael Bradley.
Hi, this question is for James. Michael Bradley from the Rose Bowl program. James, Sean has meant so much to the program throughout his time there, but this year you bring in two freshman backs who are outstanding. How much does it help your offense to have that kind of balance and have two players who can run the ball so effectively?
Yeah, I think the balance that we were able to operate with this year on the offensive side of the ball, I think was, obviously a big part of our success, really as a team, offense, defense, and special teams, to be able to, sustain drives and make big plays. And, it's unusual to do it with a freshman, let alone two true freshmen. But both of them, complemented each other really well. And, we were able to not only run the ball, but I think it created more explosive plays for us in our play action pass game as well. You mix a little RPO in there too. I think it's been really good. I think it, allowed Sean to, really kind of operate our offense from a run game perspective in terms of, how he IDs the front and sets up our blocking schemes, and same thing in pass protection, and allowed us in, maybe in some down and distance situations, which were traditional throwing downs, to be able to run the ball a little bit more. So, I think it's really helped our offense. It's helped our quarterback. I think it's helped our offensive line. Those guys have been big time players for us all year long, and we're going to need them. We're going to need them at the Rose Bowl, obviously, too.
We have time for one more question. Our last question will come from Michelle Bodkin.
Hi, Michelle Bodkin, KSL Sports in Salt Lake. This question's for Coach Whittingham. You've been with this program since 1994 and have seen it through all kinds of different growth periods. Was there ever a point that you could envision where Utah is currently at, being at two different Rose Bowl games back in 1994?
Wow. I don't think I could have. I don't think I could have foreseen that. I mean, it was where we were back in '94 as opposed to where we are now is a stark contrast. And not that we weren't good, because we're a good football team, but we're in the Mountain West Conference, or the WAC actually back then, and then moved on to the Mountain West. And to say that could have foreseen the way the program would evolve and the heights that our players would be able to reach, that was something that I don't know if anyone could have seen that or forecast that, but we're where we're at because of our players. We got really good players. Our assistant coaches have done a great job of recruiting the right players into this program, taking those players and developing them. And we just have a blue collar mentality and attitude around here that, bring our lunch pail to work every day and get after it, take no shortcuts, prepare Monday through Friday. And that really is what the program has been built on ever since Coach McBride, who was the original head coach to hire me, and fortunate enough to bring, I was fortunate to be able to come to the university because of that. And then, of course, Urban Meyer for a couple of years, had the opportunity to work with him, and he really started that ball rolling in that direction. And like I said, we've just been able to continue to get a little bit better each year. And again, college football is all about players. It's not about coaches or anything else. It's about the players. They're the reason for everything. And we've got a great group of players, like I said.
That will conclude today's teleconference. To Coach Whittingham and Coach Franklin, thank you both for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. We'd also like to thank the media members for calling in. I would like to remind you all to apply for credentials on sportsystems.com/CFP, and the transcript and audio from today's call will be available via the CFP media portal later today. Thanks again, everyone.
Thank you. See you down in Southern Cal.
Thank you so much.